For being with us, those of you who are guests. My name is Michael Mirdad, and I serve here as part of our spiritual leadership. And as is customary on Sunday mornings, I ask what you would like me to talk about. So have at it. You know, what's important to your heart?
Being human being.
Fear. Two lovers meditating together.
Receiving direction.
Presence.
Surrender.
God center.
Punishment.
Punishment. That church is up the road. Just that's a different house of God. Our house on the other house is a very, very, very fine house. Pardon? Social media. Well, we have a vast array of comments, questions that people are asking too. I didn't ask for any more. Okay. One of you asked about being human versus human being. You know, last week we talked about, just briefly addressing that concept of the Big Bang theory. You know, where we're not talking about it from a scientific standpoint, but from a standpoint of what is behind that. I mean, everything's backwards on this planet. Everything is backwards. That's the first thing to understand. Now, why don't we just fix it? Because everything is backwards. So that's a perfect design of the ego. Make everything so overwhelmingly backwards you can't fix it because there's too many things that are backwards. I mean, and I'm not talking about we should start walking backwards so that it's forward. I mean, it's wearing glasses where everything's flipped. I'm not talking about going into some strange psychotic kind of behavior or episode. I'm just saying that to breathe, this is all you have to get from it, at least this, that it helps you to just breathe because everything's wrong. Everything's flipped. Our eyes are flipped. Your vision, the way vision works, it's flipped. Everything is backwards. Your mind, your brain is wired backwards to your body. Your brain's wired, the left side of the body goes to the right side of the brain and vice versa. Everything is flipped so that nothing makes sense and everything's backwards. Perfect. It's a perfect design of the ego so that people can't just find home. That's the idea of like entering a maze, dead ends, so that people are feeling futile. And so the Big Bang isn't something that happened and then we eventually evolved out of it as just biological beings. And then if you're spiritual, you would say, well, the biological beings eventually grew and evolved enough to where souls, because you're spiritual, you're not going to just think it's biology and creatures. And we think that we then incarnate into those things because now you're spiritual, so you add the incarnating of souls into these creatures' bodies. But the Big Bang wasn't an explosion, it was an implosion. We are in the mind of God, and the universe is in our mind. Nothing ever went anywhere. There is no Big Bang exploding, moving universe that's separation, which means that you and I are constantly separating. The Big Bang Theory affirms that everything is constantly moving apart. And as I said, science now, some scientists are scratching their heads saying, we're having a feeling and certain data is coming in that says the universe has now stopped expanding, which means gravity will kick in and the universe will now contract back to what it originally was. And then it'll be as though it never was. That's a theorem in quantum physics. And it's exactly right. But I'll add to that. If there is no time, then the expanding universe, the pause, And the reverse, which we talked about last week, you can go check that out. And the reverse of it, it already happened. Let's pretend the universe is 10 billion years old. When does the children of God, when do we eventually go home? What will be the date? Will it be 2000 something AD? When is the date? Somebody could say, oh, maybe it's going to be 5000 AD. Nostradamus says this, and Edgar Casey says that, and science says, or whatever. But the only answer is, when will it happen? 10 billion years ago. This has already ended. What we're doing is we're just imagining what it would have been like if it could have happened. So it's all in our minds. We are thoughts of love in the mind of God. Have you ever had loving thoughts towards somebody? Kind of like that, except times everything. We are loving thoughts of God. God, which is love, said, I wonder what it would be like to have more love. Boom, and we were created. And then we said, this is amazing. We also are experiencing what it would like to be love. Then we said, hey, I have a crazy notion here, thought. I wonder what it would be like to not be love. Boom! And the Big Bang took place. And then it's like, well, what do we do next? I guess to not be in the state of love would mean to fly into that thing, that expanding universe where everything's apart, everything's separated. Now we're going to go in and we're going to gradually descend into matter, which is what? Limitation, which is death. You are mere mortals, and mortal comes from the word mortality. So as soon as you become a mortal, you're already dying. We're spiritual beings dreaming this whole thing up. But that doesn't mean it's easy to wrap our minds around that idea. One of the biggest challenges, being human versus human being, one of the biggest challenges in the universe, if not the biggest, is the reason for suffering, the reason for challenges is because we're trying to be human beings, but you're not a human being. Everything here's a lie. You're not a human being. And trying to be either just get by as a human being is already hard work because you're being something you're not. But you say, well, that's not me because I'm on the spiritual path. So that you can what? Become an evolved human being, which you're not. So what do? Identify only as a spiritual being. Is that easy? Hell no. You know, just totally in a state of love, totally in a state of the moment, et cetera, et cetera. It causes spiritual aneurysms. You know why so many mystics had nervous breakdowns? Because they're seeing something's wrong with this picture. They stop caring about illusions, and then the illusionary world locks them up. You're not playing the game anymore. Yeah, because it's a game. Buddha calls the wheel of life. It's just an illusion. Step out of the wheel into the center and watch the wheel go round, but don't go with it. You know, wow. Persecuted. He was often persecuted for that. But at least he introduced this idea. It's all in the mind. But the problem is we hear it's all in the mind. And the Course in Miracles tells you it's all in the mind. But when we hear the word mind, we think intellectual mind. And so Buddhism and Course in Miracles and so on often attracts intellectual types of people who end up intellectualizing the material because this is great. We're talking about the mind. No, not cognitive mind. It's about your imagination. Get back to your imagination. Oh, okay, daydreaming? No, it's not daydreaming. It's imagining that you're far more than you currently know. Imagine that you love far deeper than anybody understands. Imagine that we're all connected. Imagine all the things that aren't currently accepted as being more true than the things that are. That plugs you in more directly. So, but people, there's the human masses that are kind of asleep. People on the spiritual path, they have this phrase, soul searching, which is good. Absolutely good. I'm all for it. We're self-help groups and soul searching, right? But everything's backwards. So when you're doing soul searching, here's what you're doing. You're trying to get to know your inner self. I wouldn't do that if I were you, because you're not going to like what you find. because there's lots of wounds and hurts. But I'm not actually saying don't do this. I'm just saying it should not be your ultimate goal. You must be honest and look at your soul to get to your spirit, because you have a human self, a soul self, and a spirit self. Spirit is the spark of God still within us, can never extinguish. Still, it's the spark, the flame in us that still sits in God, because we're in the mind of God. What's in the mind of God? A spirit spark. It can't leave. It's the flame of God. But we decided to say, I wonder what it'd be like if we could separate. That's when a soul was created. How is a soul different from a spirit? Because a soul thinks it's separate and is on a journey of study and learning and meditation to get back to God. The flame, the spark, the spirit. See? So we're the spiritual self still, but thinking, we're dreaming that we're souls that have gone into the universe, not yet bodies, souls, these lights, these sparks flying into the universe. Where are we? I don't know, man, but something's happened. The Big Bang, the separation, etc. All I know is that we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. So you know what we need to do? Those of us who decided to have conscientiousness. Some of us just went, deer in the headlights, like, no thoughts, no deeper searching. They're just politicians or whatever, Sorry. Anyway, but then there's people that go, you know what? I think there's more. Those are the goddesses, the mystics, the ones on a soul path. And they're, what are you into? Soul searching, man, or soul finding, right? Those are the people on the spiritual path. And they're searching, listen, their soul is searching for God. Is that good to do? Yes? Agreed? Yeah. Great idea. Very good idea. But what we should be doing is letting God guide us in the search. Not searching for God. Don't have your soul search for God. Ask God to expose your soul. Because it's all backwards. When you say, I'm on the path and I'm studying and I'm learning, I think I'll meditate for 10 minutes, set a little alarm. You're still controlling your soul search. You see? You're still in control. I believe this. I believe this. This religion is better than that. It's all still controlled. I have no idea is the attitude we should have. Show me God, so that I'm not looking from my soul's lenses for God, but looking through God's eyes, so to speak, to the soul. What'll happen is you'll only be given the essentials in the moment to work on. Instead of us deciding what we need to work on so that we can become better people, we're just one with God, and it trims way down the essentials of what to work on. Only that which is before us. Only that seems meddlesome or troublesome. But it's all, it's all just illusion. And the world will use every means to keep the illusion alive. Some of your questions, ranging from, fear to two hearts coming together, and all these different things. The world's going to say the universe as we know it, which has been hijacked by the ego. Again, we're perfect sparks of light, perfect flames in God. We're thoughts of love in God. Then we're in the mind or consciousness of God. But in our mind is a universe of separation. So you're still in the whole of God, the wholeness of God. We're still sitting in there, but the lights are on and nobody's home. We're still in God. That flame is still there in us. But we've closed our eyes and done what you could say is like a visualization. I wonder what it would be like to be separate. So the Big Bang took place in our minds. When you hear in the beginning there was this void, stillness, darkness, abyss, it's when we closed our eye and started to visualize separation. Which, by the way, sounds gorgeous in mythology. And then this happened, and then this goddess was, and this goddess created this, and then the gods and goddesses started. The gods and goddesses fell with us. All they are is more of us. Everybody. Gods and goddesses alike. That's why God in the Bible is portrayed as a jealous God. Because that God was one of the fallen ones. Everybody did this together. Well, isn't there anybody that was sane? No. If you were in the third dimensional universe, it meant you became, to some degree, fallen. When Jesus did what he did, remembering the Christ, he was remembering not higher consciousness, not the consciousness of your deceased mother or your spirit guide from another lifetime, nor this or this or this or this or this, not even channeling angels. Jesus went all the way back to the flame, the I am, one with God. No conversation about this stuff, just boom, back. When he received guidance, he was saying, when you see me, you see the Father, which also meant, because he was using their language, the Father, Mother, God. You're seeing God. I am no separation from God. I have no decisions or beliefs that are contrary to that of God. I have no little in-between moments. I am as God created me, and I will to be the Christ, even though I'm on earth. So you bring that awakening to this, to this place is what he did. So he's actually offering not just higher consciousness like some teachers. Oh, I'm going to teach you a meditation. It's going to give you higher consciousness. I'm going to teach you a breathing technique. All these fancy things. And some of them are like, wow, and this was happening. And guys, all the buzzing and all the purple lights, and those are fantastic. They are not your goal. They are signs of you rising in consciousness. Don't ever think, I can't wait till I reach purple light. Really? What about violet? That's higher than purple vibrationally. What about the light colors you can't see that are higher than that? What about the dimension where it is beyond spectrum at all? See, in God, there's no dimensionality. Dimensionality came into the universe with dementia. Only people with dementia experience dimensionality. There's a bumper sticker waiting to happen. So we're not what we think. And the universe is going to say, you know what you need to be more complete. And there's always some stinking magazine that's going to tell you what you need. Or some now, memes and things that, on YouTube and wherever else online, here's what you need to be a better person. If you just take this remedy, you'll feel healthier. It's always something to lift you up a little higher, which is better than nothing. Don't get me wrong. Better than nothing. The approach that I'm describing is instead of doing to get home, imagine being home and do. Then the doing becomes the expression of the being instead of the doing, the efforting. See? This concept, this world, here's what you need. You need children. No, you don't. You need a marriage. No, you don't. You need healthiness. No, you don't. It tells you all the things you need to be more complete. You need a job, retirement, all these things. They're labels. But as soon as you think that that's what you need, it implies that this place is real. And now you've bit the apple of illusion along with everybody else. And you're here, so it's okay. We're not going to try to pretend we're not. Imagination is not pretend. It's not daydream. It's to see as God sees. It's very different. So we start to realize, God, all these goals that, the stuff, if only, in retirement, and one more list, and get a house, or whatever the things are. Once I get a car, then I'm more complete. None of these things are true. None of these things are real. And they can't offer anything because they're not there. So then it gets down, and again, a couple of you have mentioned romance, love, relationship kinds of things. The ego tricks people into thinking that they're people, individuals, and therefore incomplete because you're alone. If you're in a room and there's not somebody else there, you're alone. It doesn't allow you to access, how could I be alone when I'm all one? Everything is with me. No. You need to single somebody out that'll make you feel more complete. And when they fail to do that, you divorce them. This is the routine. Oh, so I'm going to add that to my goals. Divorce. They cannot lead us anywhere because they're not true stories. Now, can you still experience sharing with another person? Absolutely, but you're choosing to share from your higher place, your higher self, not the lower self that strives to get somewhere higher. If only I have you, then I'm more complete. No, I am complete, choosing to share with others that sort of resonate with that level of completeness, right? So the whole notion of love, romance, from the human standpoint, mind you, it just becomes another false reality. And I know this is a bummer because some people want to, well, this love is better than that love, and this is, and so on and so on. All of those dialogues are still coming from the head, even though we think love comes from the heart. It's still dialogues from the head. They're still limited notions. So when I say, I love you, who's talking? Someone's saying, I love you, they're already lying to them. Because who's the I that's speaking? If the human being is expressing, I love you, and you're not a human being, it means you can't actually be saying the truth, which is, I love you. Because if you don't know who you are, you're lying to yourself and to them. I love you means I need you to make me feel more love, which can only come from God. So the only accurate version of I love you is if God be with me and you say it for me. So the divine in me loves the divine in you. That's the only authentic version of love. If I'm blurting it, if I'm coming from a needy place, I don't care what you'd call it. Oh, the chemistry between us. Yeah, that's what I want to be, chemicals. I just want to walk around going, hi, nice to meet you. What's your name? I don't know. I'm just chemicals. I'm hormones. Nice to meet you. I'm neediness. Whether it's psychological or chemical, those things don't make sense to me. Into the I am presence. Now, the danger of getting into the I am presence is you say I love you to everybody because it's true. And then they're all freaking out. He said he loves me. No, he said that to me. Well, I think he said it to me first. Yeah, but he meant it for me more. So, you're Jesus walking around, I love you, and people are like, oh, he said I love you to a girl. It was okay that he said it to the 12 apostles. But now we saw him say it to a woman, Magdalene or whomever, And that's not allowed because that's personal. But that's everybody projecting their stuff onto him. Really, really giving permission. Oh my God, I love you. I can't not hug you because I feel so much oneness with you. Come here. And now we're just physicalizing, anchoring what I feel inside. Oneness. Come here. Oh my God. It's not the neediness. It's the knowingness. There's just day and night difference. Knowingness. But we keep bargaining, and the ego convinces us, tricks us, even into niceties. I got a great job, getting paid very well. No. Even your jobs, they're a lie. Listen to this. When you're working to earn money, you're actually bargaining. It means I can't just receive the abundance of God. I have to work hard for it. That's a lie. And we all signed the document, the agreement. When did that happen? Remember, Garden of Eden? Man, you will now need to work hard to earn anything. Why? Because in the garden, it was a depiction of them falling from who they really were. Androgynous whole beings that ended up thinking they're separate. Now they're separate people. Now they're having separate children. The whole story becomes just ludicrous. And then again, falling. Now you have to work to earn. Women, you're now going to have to feel pain to give birth to things. And it doesn't just mean babies. Everything. For the man and woman, the common denominator was effort. Man, you have to work to earn a living. Woman, you're going to have to be in pain to go and deliver a baby. The common theme is pain or work, effort. Which means we were once one with God, and all it took was imagination. All we had to do was, we can create anything because we are everything. When we miscreate, is that good? Well, of course not, but we could at least see it and go, that could have only have come from me. And own it, erase it. Life is supposed to be just an etch-a-sketch. Gone. I'm clear. My slate is clear. We understand you're going to incarnate again. And according to your Akashic records, you got some heavy stuff. Hold on, let me get that. Read that again. You're good? You're good to stay here, heaven. That's what it should look like. But we don't. Remember, all of your life's deeds, the ones that resonate with love, carve in stone. The ones that don't, write only in sand. so that they can be washed away easily by just making a different decision. The problem is human beings are told by the ego, anything you do wrong, anything you do off, you're going to be punished somehow for it. You're going to be held responsible. That doesn't feel good, so we tend to not own it. We tend to have issues with, taking responsibility. If we realized that taking responsibility, oh my God, all the angels sing when we stop and say, wait a minute. There might be some other meaning to this. Instead of just, I've done something naughty, here it comes back to me, karma, boomerang, anything you want to call it. That's the ego's program. When we say, wait, no, I think there's another option. I've done, thought, said something, I'm going to own this for a moment. I was mistaken to think that I needed you, the job, I could only get a raise if I worked even harder. Got to break your back, to make a living. None of this is true. Now, how do we get to that other concept? How do we get to effortless prosperity? By the way, those of you who pull it off, let's say, are going to be judged by those that are still carrying the weight. How did you get away with that? Oh, you probably have wealthy parents. I remember one time at a tarot class, God, this is like 40 years ago. We were exchanging readings, and developing that. And this one lady said something about how frustrated she is and how her life's been terrible and, her father didn't do this or whatever it was. And I was guiding her into, again, taking responsibility. Let's change that and so on. And then she kind of blurted out, well, what do you expect to do? What would you do if your father, what would you do if your family, your parents didn't give you enough? And I said, I would just ask my father for something more. Oh, you have to always rely on your dad? No. I meant the father. I didn't mean dad, but see, she went right into projecting. This is what we do. Somebody else earns and we think they must not have done it right. Everybody that has money stole it, or they're all greedy or whatever. They can't have only gotten it. It's not like the universe went, look, the 10 most wicked people have passed over. Let's saddle them up with gold when they go back. That's not what the universe is. Somehow they have to have earned it in consciousness. Is that wrong of them? If you think it's wrong of them, you've already blocked your own prosperity. It doesn't matter. Not judging them opens you to greater abundance. But the ego tells you you can only gain by effort. This whole concept, oh my God, like people being reduced to mating cattle, like you just, we need a steer over here. We need a, cow here, putting, like the universe is putting together people, and all the cows, like when they do these nature shows, there are 5 butterflies all wishing to find a male, and 4 of them are going to die alone. But one of them will flap the wings enough to impress the male butterfly, and they'll mate. I mean, it's all effort. Like they're channeling the butterfly. How do you know why it's doing that? Maybe the 4 other female butterflies are like, I feel so good being alone. I dig this. I was butterflied up with somebody in the past life, and I never forgot how great it is to fly alone. Why don't they channel that? They just make this stuff up. Working for money is a lie. Waiting around for your partner, life mate, someone that, the right person, all this stuff that happens in the chemistry. They reduce, women to like looking the right pheromones to give me the right breed of children. Oh my God. How is that not a turnoff for anybody? No. I am free. I am free. Oh my God, the burden off, all the shell peeled off, all the limiting belief systems, all of it has to go. Who are you really? I am as God created me. I'd love to share some time with you. I'd love to do this. Let's dance, let's sing, let's play music together, whatever it happens to be. Sharing, the whole notion of give and take, it's all a lie. Everything in this universe is telling you you have to earn by the sweat of the brow. Everything in this universe is telling you that you have to hope to be the one, that gets the mate. Which is fantastic, because then they'll double the number of women on the planet to males so that somebody's going to be left out. It's all a lie. It can't be true that anyone or anything isn't already deserving of everything. To have a life mate, easy, if that's what you want. But is it you, the ego, that wants it, or is it a knowing in your soul that that's what you're ready for? And if that's what you're really ready for, how could it not manifest? Well, it's not happening. Then it must not be clear from God's mouth to your ears. That the guidance is not what you think. One popular, very, very popular author sent his wife to me for a session, and, we're having trouble, having a baby, and heard that, you are the person to go to. And, what do we do, And as much as I would like to have said, the energy work and okay, you'll have a baby within months, and that sort of thing. Instead, what I knew was, you're not going to have a baby, which of course ticked her off for a moment. You're not going to have a baby. Now it's, well, I thought you were good, and you were going to zoom in and tell us what we needed, to have a baby. It's not going to be a baby. You're going to write a book. That's your baby. See, human brains take things the way they want to take them, the guidances. Now, she was resistant till the book came out and did very, very well. Michael, oh, thank you, after you beat me up verbally for a while. But you see, listen to the guidance, not the detail. The guidance is, you're going to give birth. That's what God is saying to her soul. Her soul goes, oh my God, we're going to give birth, which then her humanness translates, you're going to have a baby, which the human, knows she's not, and puts her in a route of frustration. Paying all kinds of money to go, all kinds of people around the world eventually coming to me. Paying all this money for medical as well as intuitive reasons as to why they're not, because you're taking it literally. Get the message and the messenger disappears. Get the point. The symbolic is always more powerful than the literal. What are you really being told? When you're told, move to Sedona, don't start packing. How do you get there? In here. What does Sedona mean to you? Oh, Sedona is a place of love, and there's a lot of acceptance or whatever. Then do love and acceptance in you right now, where you are. Once you get the details like that, once you get the theme, the message, whether or not you need to move becomes like, I'm open either way. That's how this works. When you get the core of it, the external manifestation becomes less pressure. It becomes more like, so you got what you were really looking for. God was telling, when you hear, you move to the mountains, oh my God, I had a dream last night and it's guidance that there's going to be a tsunami. We need to all move to the mountains. You move there and you're waiting and no tsunami. And if you had 10 people with you, you're now a false prophet. So what was the point of all that? Well, when you hear move to the mountaintops to be safe, I'll even throw that in, to be safe. That means it's definitely tragedy oriented. No, what is the mountaintop? Higher consciousness. If you want to feel safer and loved in your life, move to higher consciousness. Oh, but, I already bought land, in the top of a mountain peak in the Himalayas or whatever. Enjoy. I hope you got a coat. Be careful taking these things all so literally. When you hear in a dream or a feeling, even a feeling, and these people that, Michael, my biological clock is ticking. I need to have a baby soon. Do you have a partner? No. Get me one of those too. Get me a partner and a baby within 3 months. Wow. Then you got to be pregnant 6 months ago, first of all. So this is don't tell me you're a biological clock, man. That's kind of sick. You're making yourself a victim to hormones, to chemicals? No. You're a holy child of God who created the entire universe. Honestly, the universe is a thought within our mind, collectively, our mind. We can't be victims. You have a baby, you don't have a baby. It is as you thought you needed it at the time. And there are lots of people that'll say, I guess it was meant to be, only according to your beliefs. Don't act like God was in on that. You know, I was dealing heroin, went to jail, but I guess that was meant to be. Oh yeah, because God was like, you know what you need to be doing? Dealing drugs and going to jail. That was never God. God wasn't the one that told you to have 3-point-something children. God didn't say you needed to do anything. You are as God created you, perfect, whole, light. You think you're a human. You think you have experiences. You think those experiences have brought you karma, lessons that you think you need to learn. All of us are here to learn and heal. That's all. And the third thing we're here to do is experience the gifts of having learned and healed. But it's all about learning and healing. But who determined what you needed to learn and heal? Only you. That's all. You can't say, well, my parents, I wasn't supposed to come to this lifetime, but they couldn't keep their hands off each other. And them creating a baby, an embryo, it grabbed my soul from the highest heaven and dragged it into the universe and threw it into that being, and it became me. Victim, victim, victim. It can't happen without some part of our beliefs aligning with it. And I know that's creepy for some, because some of us have gone through a lot of dark lessons in this life. So it sounds like I don't like listening to this because you're telling me lessons and healings were my fault. No, I'm not saying that. If you're here, it has to be that you had things you needed to learn or heal, that you believe you did. That's all. Did I say you did? No. So the good news is you didn't really need to. You're not really bad. You didn't really cause yourself all the trauma that you went through. But there are these aligning or alignments of misbeliefs that we have. I believe that I'm alone and therefore desperate and love hurting people, a real predator type. And then another person says, and I feel alone and separate too, and I'm very sad about that. So person that translates alone as angry and predator-like finds alone sad and subject to predators. You see? You're not bad, you're just insane. That's all. And by insane, I'm talking about you are living a truth that isn't true. And that's that definition. You're believing in things that are not true. Namely, that you're separate from God. And then comes everything else. If I'm separate now, I'm broken, I'm damaged goods, I'm lonely, I'm sad. And none of those things. They're all erroneous assumptions. So you can get on the soul journey, get on the spiritual path, yet you're going to be working towards a goal that you never lost. So let's practice aligning with being home. The easiest way to do that, ask God to show you. You see? Instead of asking God to get you out of this mess, the next issue, the next emotional crash, instead, ask to see things as God sees them. It's very different. Plug right in. Well, how do you do that? Well, there's this one school, there's this one initiation, there's this one herb. No. Just ask. As soon as you think you have to do something to earn that, everybody's got their thing, ayahuasca and whatever else. That really got me there. No, it didn't. You're already there. These are all just fun things that you're experimenting with. Marriage, babies, tripping, whatever it happens, meditation, lucid dreaming, all these things on the spiritual path, lighting green candles for prosperity. They're great. They're all fun. They're all cool. But all they are is you exploring what you believe yourself to be today. I really needed to do acid because it really opened my mind that there were other things. No, don't tell me you needed it. I know you didn't. You chose it and you believe it helped you open your mind to something years ago when you did it. Good for you. Did you need it? No. I really needed to go through this terrible marriage. They beat me up every day, but I guess I needed that to learn how to set better boundaries. You want me to say, and so it is to that statement you just made? That you needed to go through punishment to learn better boundaries? Why didn't you just learn it by going, wait, there's an idea, and do it? Why can't we just access our imagination? So if you have two rooms of people. Children, I've said this before, but children in one room, adults in another room. And you get some very sophisticated spiritual leader to teach one of the two groups. They're almost always going to go to the adults, and then they're going to wow them. You know, heaven is like, and God, and then some of them are going to talk dimensionality. They're going to use fancy words. Some of them use, technology. That's a fun one these days. Well, there's this God technology that's being, a God technology. And the adults are all like, wow. They have gotten nowhere. It could be a 1-hour talk, an all-day seminar. They have gotten nowhere. All they did was move information around from one part of their brain to another. You go into the kids' room. How are you going to tell them about all that technology and blah, 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 blah? Instead, I could do this in 60 seconds. Hi, kids, we're going to learn about God. God? Well, how do you do that? Well, I want everybody, just close your eyes and imagine being happier than you've ever been in your life, but then 10 times happier. And they all start to smile. And how does that make you feel? Even if you want it, let it take you over. They start giggling and they start just twirling, and they found God and you didn't. Why? Because they're using their imagination, and it's love-based. You and your complicated recipes. Ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee for $99.99, today only, you are going to experience God. Listen, you have to just do this meditation technique where you hold your hands a certain way, turn your eyes upward, tongue to the roof of your mouth, breathe, except on Mondays. You got to do it the opposite direction, because Mondays is technologically lunar alignments, and people are just like, wow, this guy's got to be onto something, because nobody would make this up. Yeah, they would. They actually would. It happens all the time. Just making stuff up. Or if they really want to get cosmic to impress the adults, I'm in a channel now, a being from the 89th dimension, which beats the 88th dimension, the 87th, and all other. I'm way up here. And then they whisper to each other, those adults. That's amazing, because I've only ever been to channelings of the 15th dimension. This person's like 16,000 levels higher. And they get all wowed. Go into the kids' room. Hi, kids. We're going to channel the 89th dimension. This guy's weird. They're right. They're right. They need to feel what's happening to be real. You're just talking. I know you're fancy talking. I know it has glitz and pizzazz to it. Wow, good for you. My mind, I'm just not impressed by those things. You look at them and it's like, wait a minute. Why do you think Jesus so often allowed the kids to gather around him? Let me tell you a story. They're like, okay. It wasn't like they went, stories, oh, we wanted you to intellectualize things. They were like, stories, oh, bummer. No. Story, that makes sense. Why? Because you must be as children to find the kingdom. And it means your pure heart, and it means your imagination. Okay? We've got to get to your higher mind. Open your mind to all possibilities, that you are made in the image of God, that you are an expression of love. You say that, and even children are getting it. It's like, wow. And you say it in a way that they understand. A good teacher is not the one that can impress adults. A great teacher, a good one might pull that off, but a great teacher can say the same thing to children and get it across. You can talk to any level of people, and all you're doing, man, the Divine Mother, only she could do this. She's the bridge of all bridges. She knows how to close a gap. So now you're talking to electricians. Oh, well, God is like this. You talk to a group of divorcees. God is like this. Whatever the topic is, you bring it to them at where they're coming from, at their level. This working hard, this staying in control of our own path. If it's not clear, it should be that it didn't work all these years that we've tried to do this ourselves. So if you go to and let's say you design your own 12-step program. Hey, I have an idea. People like shorter lessons. YouTube videos that were once an hour need to be 10 minutes according to statistics. So instead of a 12-step program, we're going to do a 2-step program. And all that is control again. You can spice it up. You can make it sexy for people to want the 2-step program instead of the 12-step program. Hey, did you hear? There's this other program where you only have to do 2 steps. Now, who's happy about that? God or your ego? The ego. Why? Because it gets to miss the steps that would make you not an addict. You're still going to have all the problems because you overlook the step about looking at yourself, or you overlook the step about God being called into the situation. You can't nix those out. You can't pick and, I'm going to start my own 12-step program. I'm going to use steps 1, 4, and 8, and I'm good. That's not how this works. A complete program, 12 or not, like the higher number or not. You're wishing you could have 2 steps, wishing you could do it in 5 minutes instead of 5 years, let's say. It's an example of the ego still trying to control things. So at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with step work. There's nothing wrong with soul searching. There's nothing wrong with self-help programs. But it's how we approach them. Undeservingly, broken, I'm damaged goods, I'm an addict, etc., trying to get home. See? That's different. Trying to get home, as opposed to I am as God created me. I am home. And you are. I'm swearing to you, you are. Your spirit can't have left God because we're a thought. Our spirit is a thought of God, and it's in the mind of God, consciousness of God. We're just daydreaming that we're somewhere else. Like in cartoons, when you see little cartoon drawings and they have the little bubbles, that show thoughts, and words out there, whether it's Snoopy or whomever, the little words are in the bubble. It's like that. This whole universe is nothing but a thought. And at some point, pop, and it's gone. But the universe that came about through our musing about what life would be like if we were separate is all of a sudden contracting again now. Why? Because we're saying we're not separate. Our spiritual work has proven to be effective. It's turned us inside now. It's bringing us back. All the 12-step programs were not just sitting there. The channels and whatever else, all these things we've been doing. The good news about being on a spiritual path is that underneath it, not the details, underneath it, it was trying to get us back to understanding our deservability. It wasn't just about not being an addict. It was what you are, not just what you're not. I'm not an addict, you see. It was turning into, then what are you? That's why those programs include developing the new you, discovering the new you. Any program that only empties your cup has left you only empty. Any healing you've ever done, cathartic counseling, spewing out all this hurt and rage and trauma without asking you to refill with peace, love, and self-worth. But say they're trained and taught not to believe in that. Well, I don't go into the God stuff. We're not really supposed to do that. That's up to you. And you should take responsibility. I would not leave the counselor's office without refilling, but your time is up. Then sit in your car and do the other half of your counseling session. Everything you cried out has to be replaced with something else, something new, something that is of God. Make sense? Yeah. Has to be replaced. If not, you've left an empty place, and it's a dangerous place. Okay? You left yourself susceptible to being programmed with more illusion or more pain or whatever it happens to be, more limiting programs. So when you asked one of you about that word, specific word, punishment, there's literal and there's figurative. But even our believing that we have to earn our way home. Look at all the things religions do that dress up a certain way, headdresses, necklaces, certain things, the rings and all the regalia, which every East and West that happens. And it's okay, but one day we're going to look back and crack up at that. Remember when we wore stuff to be holy? We wore it on our bodies that were never there. These were just dream figures. Yeah, but you wore a weirder one than I. No, I did not. You wore a weirder. We won't go into that. But, it's true. It's all kind of ludicrous. It's laughable. At the end of the day, this is what the ego says. I have a religion. I know you guys have religions, but I am the religion of all religions, meaning false worship. So I am the religion of all religions, and I will have you bowing to idols that you don't even think you would ever bow to. You will bow to the idol of the body. Make sure you feed it and water it every day, which confirms you are a body. I want you to respond to chemicals, chemistry in your body. Or be sure to your mother had a certain disease you inherited. Who makes this stuff up? What makes you think, I'm not even a body? How can I inherit it? Well, science says, oh, well, then I'm up creek. Now I got to walk barely breathing because, of what things I might pick up from everybody else. I'm a body and I'm not a body and I am free. I remain as God created me. That's a fact. But I'm not saying be careless. I'm not. Play the game at whatever level you feel comfortable playing the game, whatever your nutrients, your health items or whatever. Let it be. But at the end of the day, I am not a body. I am free. For I am and remain as God created me. Which means what? Best answer, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. As soon as you start to go, well, and this, and I'm an eighth dimensional, but you're talking again. It's better to, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out, which means I am infinitely open for infinite conclusions, infinite information, infinite, just consciousness. Inspirations too. I'm just open. And that's how this thing comes. Just like the way I teach, and some people ask, but how do you teach and did you study? And no, really, I'm really not intelligent by human standards. Like probably a sixth grade education, I would say by today's standards. It's kind of weird, like even when my kids were little, I had no idea. Dad, can you help me with my algebra? Algebra? Are you kidding? You're like 5. I never took algebra and I'm 35 at that time, or what? You got to be kidding me, algebra. So it was never my thing. And yet I'm doing fine. I feel functional, I'm like old, and yet I didn't have all the problems that, people struggled with trying to eat healthy and they still had issues. It's like find God. God first in all things. Find God, whether you're sick or not, find God. Bring God into everything. Bring God into everything. Don't try to perfect and then find God. Bring God into everything. Everything. In your lovemaking, into the shower, into your labor at work, into your stirring your food. How could it harm to bring the highest vibration that exists into everything you do? Before your counseling sessions, before you do surgery on someone, bring God in, especially if you're not trained as a surgeon. Bring God. Before you're a mechanic and before you go under the hood, oh man, I'm a fifth generation mechanic. I'm a 5th generation mechanic. I know what I'm doing. It doesn't hurt. Before you go, I'm going in. God, under the hood, into a person's soul, into a person's therapy session, whatever. I'm going in. Be with me while I go. When you go into your own dark night of the soul, God, go with me. Be with me. Bring God into everything. So imagine tethering the light of God down into your heart, your mind, your emotional center, and your physical center. You see that? All that God is into every center of my being, my 4 torso centers. I insist. See, I don't want anything to be done. I got this one. You just fill my heart. I'll take care of my body. I don't want any part of me not plugged in to the light of God. Okay, thanks. Please take a centering few breaths. Imagine an image of yourself. Whatever image would most represent limiting belief systems. A broken self, a wounded self, an abused self, a lonely self. Any symbol of yourself that symbolizes or represents your most challenging image of yourself. And it could be the adult that strives to be successful, but it can also be a very lonely, sad child. Let the Holy Spirit help you decide the image. Let her help you make it vivid and clear. This is an image of you that needs worked on today. I can see you, and name yourself. I can see you, so and so. It's not always easy for me to look at this part of you, because this part has been hurt, has been left undeserving, unloved, impoverished, whatever it happens to be, or several words. It's not always easy for me to see this part of you, this part that is me. Somewhere in time, I left you behind, and yet I can't. So I've subversively and subconsciously carried you along as a consciousness, and it has undermined my life. I'm sorry for trying to abandon you. It seemed like the only way to be safe, the only way to protect myself is run from an image of me being unhappy or broke or whatever. Please forgive me. And I know you do. And what's going to change now is I'm bringing you back into myself, and we're going to grow together. We're going to grow up together. But I'm going to say in advance, I know part of you doesn't trust me. And I understand why. Not only did I try to leave you behind and hide you so people wouldn't see my loneliness or my fears, but I also have done a lot of self-damaging things, bargaining and whatever else. I'm sorry. But I know who I am today. I'm waking up. I cannot promise you perfection, but what I can promise you is I'm here now. And we're not alone. God is with us. God is guiding me to guide you. And the Divine Mother is going to take great care of us. We're going to go and re-age from the age this image is, and we're going to take you into spiritual, psychological, responsible maturity. We're taking us to a new level today. All is well. Come with me. Look at that image. And it's not easy for some, but I want you to say goodbye to it. I'm not going to abandon you. Trust me. Trust me. Tell her, him. Trust me. Goodbye. I'm letting go of my old image of you, which is an old image of me. Goodbye. Feel the hesitation if you have any. Feel the resistance if you have any. Try to be courageous. Trust me, you're not going to leave that person behind. Say goodbye. Let them fade and fade. With them goes all vows, debts, karma, agreements, and contracts from the past. All the bargaining. The guilts and the shames, goodbye. And where they were once standing, just see some beautiful sparkles of light, shimmering and colorful. Wow. I see you. Oh my God, that's what you really look like. Not the image I had of you. This shimmering, sparkly, beautiful light. This is who you really are and who I really am. But I needed to have the courage to say goodbye to the old image of you. Now I'm greeting the new you. Underneath all of my images of you, you were always whole, bright, safe. Breathe those sparkles in through your breath into your heart a couple of times to where none are left outside. Breathe them in. The child or person that you once left behind, breathe it in. Breathe it in. Really feel it. Just imagine it and see the sparkles now just kind of swirling in gently in your heart. Put a hand or two over your heart. Oh my God. I see you. I can feel you. We're back. We're home. In this place in my heart. This is the home of the Divine Mother. We're safe and we can do everything over again. Meaning simply in a new way. Anything I do that doesn't feed this light in my heart might not be right for me. The jobs that are laborious, not peaceful, might not be right. Doesn't mean I quit today. Just I learned to follow this. What is it that will stir these sparkles in a good way? What is it that makes them fan like a flame into a brighter light in my heart? Don't date people that snuff this out. Don't stay in relationships that snuff this out. What fans that flame? I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. I refuse to try to figure any of it out on my own. Even those who are proud when they've been told, you're such a survivor. I'm not even going to be a survivor anymore. I'm a thriver. It's so great to connect with you, which is me, again. It's so great to connect with this part of me that is made in the image of God, this part that is light, this part that is love. It's so great to see this light. Now I have hope. For various reasons, I thought it was either minimized or gone completely, and it's not true. I give thanks, Father, Mother, God. I give thanks that you've guided this process. You've shown me what and who I need to work on. All surrendered to you and replaced now with your holy presence. Hear the words love and self-worth with each in-breath for the next half dozen breaths. And when you do, try to imagine those sparks in your heart getting excited. They get air that makes them burn brighter. Love and self-worth. And so it is on the exhale, and then again and again. Love and self-worth, nice and slow, like a wave. Anchor it there in that heart, fanning those sparks, and then exhaling, and so it is. A few more times. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. This is my dedication, to know my value, my divinity. Guide me in this, in all parts of this. Help me to show this part of me to the world. Help me to be this part of me in my world. And I choose to remember this every morning to start the day with this. I don't have a day, I have a God day. And so it is. Very slowly coming back, feeling gratitude. And hopefully that addressed questions also like direction and guidance and so on. See, so instead of being compelled by chemistry, hormones, identifications of male and female, I'm none of those. I am only as God created me. That's my identification. And I know how to connect with that when I connect with this love, peace. That's my mantra. That's my compass. Right? Like that title of a good friend to author Alan Cohen, a book he wrote called Joy is My Compass. Exactly. All right. Thank you. Can anyone share what they learned or heard today that made the most sense or was the most value in the meditation or the talk or whatever it was? Yes?
Asking God to show us our soul.
Asking God. Instead of your soul search to God, let God help you do a soul search to you. Good. Anyone else? Yes?
I'm reminded of the Albert Einstein quote, imagination is more important than knowledge, and I felt very much
Yes.
what you were talking about.
Imagination, as Einstein said, is more important than knowledge. Imagination, he said, is the highest mental faculty, not intellect. Anyone else? Yes?
In the meditation, when you said, ask us to imagine, this self that was going to
The meditation, imagining the self.
but this self that was going to be transformed.
Yeah.
I saw like a little child, there was like a fairy-like village, it was all dirty and
Ah,
and it fitted with what happened yesterday because I was attending to in a house, it's not mine, but it was the lady who owned it, a little fairy garden, it was all dirty and I picked all the things out of it, not really thinking,
Wow.
oh there's a little girl, there's a magic garden sign, and I just picked them all up and I was going to go wash them, crystals buried in the soil, and I dug all in and got everything out. And previously on another day I'd seen this massive yellow butterfly fly around, and it came.
Oh.
I used to be scared of butterflies, and it came this time. It came to me, and it flew around my head. It was a bit like that.
wow.
But it really,
Beautiful.
it really moved me because it wasn't joyous. It was like
Yeah.
looking after, and then it fitted with what.
Right on. And the image you saw, as she was saying, the this almost a fairy-like image, but yet dirty, soiled, you know, which fits some old shame. That's the right word. And hiding, right. And then that needs cleansed, purified. Nice. Yes.
Etch-a-sketch Akashic Records.
You like the Etch-a-Sketch version of the Akashic Records? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yes. I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. That's it. Just, here I am, God. You know, everything's so based on you have to know everything. I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. Leave it open. The reason people don't like to leave it open is because they suspect something bad's coming, which means they've already determined what they believe themselves to be. Shameful, dirty, you know, whatever. And instead, you know what? I don't know. I'm willing to find out, but I only ask for it to be of God. You know, one of the times going through the dark night of the soul, one of the tricky things that happens is people are like, man, I'm going through the dark night, if they even know to call it that. And they start thinking about, I can't wait till I'm out of this. And they start planning tomorrow. You're in your screwed up self trying to plan your future. How good can that go? Well, I got to do something. Why? Because I got to be in control. The I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. It just drops us in. To sit in the darkness like Jesus in the garden, not my will, but yours be done. As dark as that moment was for him, not my will, yours be done. And what that means is, I only believe in yours. Don't let me fabricate where I'm going to go to that next job or that next thing. And I'm not talking about don't plan at all. I'm saying ask for guidance to plan. Ask for guidance on how to find a job. Don't just walk up and down 89A highway, I'm waiting for God to just drop a job into me. Somebody's going to put a sign in your hands. I'll give you $5 an hour to walk up and down with my store name. Since you're walking anyway, well, that's underpaying me. Now you're back to that. So stay open always. Plans, guidance can come to you for tomorrow and for next year and 10 years from now. But careful not to get stuck on the detail of the guidance. God told me, so it must be. No, God told you this, and you defined it as that. Who else had their hand up? Yes? Doing all things. That's what it means. Do nothing. That's the Zen concept, the Taoist concept, the Course in Miracles concept about do nothing. And that just messes people up. They're like, I'm not supposed to do anything. I'm thinking. Stop thinking. I'm breathing. I'm dying, from not breathing. You're overthinking it. I need do nothing only means doing from a place of being. I need do nothing or do nothing means stop exerting effort to make things happen based on your ego. Allow them based on God. Which is all beautiful, but I know it's not always easy to live by that. Yes? Only here to learn and heal. What's that one? Take God with you everywhere you go. That's right. Bring God into everything. It can be done, is being done, must be done, but it's our destiny. Ancient people first coming to the planet, Lemuria, they landed in Lemuria, and Lemuria was sacred living. Everything was done with an attitude of sacredness. But our falling caught up with us with the guilt, and it fed us to where we're not even deserving to live in a land, a life of sacred living. And we broke all those spiritual knowings down into rules. The rules became something that led us, that controlled our lives, and so on. Back to Eden we go. Yay. We're going to take up a collection. So please hold your love offering in your hands and to your heart. And hold in the highest consciousness an intention to share. Know that what you share multiplies. It's just spiritual law. You don't have to earn by the sweat of the brow. Earn, receive. Receive by sharing your light. This donation, even if it's only a thought of love and appreciation, now begins already to multiply. Know that, see that, feel that. As we affirm, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. We've gotten feedback from folks already. We're going to do our closing prayer in about a minute when they're done. While they're passing the baskets around, a couple of quick announcements. Remember, the crystal bed therapy sessions are available. You just lie down on a crystal healing table. The crystals are laser cut. They're Vogel cut crystals. And they do this sort of a light therapy on each chakra. It's a very, very powerful experience. You can do those 20-minute increments. So you can do 20 or 40 or 60 minutes. Okay, you could do that. You can sign up call the admins or the bookstore, whichever. Also, when you're on social media, like us, share us, or whatever the other words are that they ask you to do. I know, not sixth grade education, remember? So Sunday, July 16th, 1 to 4, you can join. That's when we're having our next psychic fair. So be sure to sign up in advance because they do pretty much always sell out. If you want to do it but forget to do it and think they're sold out, still come by, there's always, you never know, a cancellation or something, just leave it to God to guide you. There are now commercials posted on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube or our website or the Daughters of Heaven, Daughters of Heaven is a new book that I've written. It's in the bookstore, but it's also a conference that's coming up in September. That's just already, the vibes are so extraordinary. It's really, really beautiful. But go to Daughters of Heaven website or our website and click on as many of these. There's commercials. You can see what each musician is offering, what each speaker is going to talk about. But so you're doing yourself a favor because you learn what these folks are going to be doing. But you're also helping to populate, and the rankings and all that improve. If you do that, it would be very much appreciated. Go to our websites and click on those video links. Sunday, the July 30th, from 12 to 3, I'll do a workshop called The 3 Gates of Love. And that's about relations and intimacy and so forth. So, it's bring God into everything you do, from hug and kiss to friendships and hellos to cooking your breakfast, everything we do. So that's still in that context. And keep in mind, though, this Daughters of Heaven conference and the book, I'm glad a lot of you that did order the book have been receiving it, and I see all the great feedback you're sharing. But the Daughters of Heaven conference in particular is it's such a divine inspiration. It's like in the book of Revelation, I saw a New Jerusalem descending from the heavens. It feels like that. This conference, the musicians, the speakers, the volunteers, everybody involved is just doing this co-creation of such an experience. You can attend in person, but also virtually online. You can register, which is like a third less the cost anyway. But quite an experience. The Daughters of Heaven, without going into a whole bit on that, there's some videos you can go and see on that, and you can get the book on it. But the Daughters of Heaven, bottom line is this. People are talking about, even us light workers, talk about, changing the world, creating heaven on earth. It's great. Light workers. We're bringing this light to this world to make a difference. But there's a faction of Daughters of Heaven, we're calling it, beings that have made dedication, whether it's today they make that vow of dedication or other lifetimes where they said, I'm not here to fix the planet. I'm here to be the presence of God on the planet. That's the difference between the light workers are working to fix things, let's say, heal things. It's great. It's got to be done. But the daughters are hanging back a little going, I'm here to be the presence of God. So they are manifestations of the Holy Spirit. They are manifestations of the Divine Mother. So there's a far more feminine frequency in a sense. The light workers often, very often males involved, which is fine. It's perfect. I'm a light worker. You're a light worker. You can be a pepper too. So, but the Daughters of Heaven, what a warm, embracing concept. And anything you can do to step into that, and own that. Okay? If it's not making sense, again, go and read a little more on the website. And go and read the book if you want. But if not, the website. What does that mean, Daughters of Heaven? If you feel an affinity to Christ consciousness, the holy women, when they talk about that in the Bible, the holy women around Jesus, they were daughters of heaven. They just weren't called that yet because the name hadn't been channeled into the earth plane. But that's such a beautiful thing that's happening, especially at this pivotal time where we're birthing a new world. So the divine feminine has to be there to give birth to that new world, the Daughters of Heaven. So men and women are part of that, if they choose. Okay?
Pain-free birth.
Pardon?
Pain-free birth.
A pain-free birth, yes.
Joy.
Did that make sense to you all about the contracts we make to only be prosperous by hard work? Did that make sense, right? Enough. That's a lie. And if I can surrender it, don't fight it. Surrender it and replace it with true abundance, prosperity comes your way. The problem is you'll be guilted and shamed for learning to do things the easy way. Who's the guilt and shame coming from? Usually family members. But remember, no matter who it comes from, it's a mirror of your own doubts of your deservability. No matter who it came from, still you. And it's up to you. Get behind me, Satan. To all those voices. That's the old, no, not interested. I'm going here. Back to Eden. Back to who I am. Please stand for a closing prayer. Whee! Doesn't it feel good? Like, oh, wow. So grateful. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Thank you. Peace be with you all.